Coming to you live from Rhode Island, it's the 10 Point Podcast. Or Mars, depending on where you are.
I've come from Mars.
This is Major Bruce to ground control. I've left forevermore, and I'm floating in a most peculiar way, and the stars look very different today. With me this week, floating in my tin can,
Big intro.
far
There it goes.
above the world. Okay, back. First, he gets joy from a bug's ass lighting up. It's Chris.
Fair enough.
And that's it as far as lines from the song go. So secondly, he often affects a fake Russian accent when he's working in his garden. It's Andy.
Oh, high point that is.
Not much in the way of kind of hilarious bants for me to steal lines from this one here. We're the 10 Point Podcast. We review movies basically once a week and other bits and bobs here and there. You can find us if you search 10 Point Podcast anywhere on the internet. You can hear audio versions in every single podcast app possible, whether it be Mars or Rhode Island that you're listening in. Video versions on Spotify and the 10 Point broadcast over on YouTube, where you can see video versions and you can see that Andy is indeed made it into space, whereas Chris and I are still stuck on planet Earth with the main characters from the film.
You're both having threesomes, it looks like, in your
Yeah, I'm out in the park or whatever.
We just don't want twosome.
10pointpodcast.com for our website. You can contact us there, send us emails. We want to hear from you on any subject to do with the podcast.
Yeah, we'll comment on anybody.
We'll comment on anybody.
You want
Twitter,
help, advice, we'll do that.
Twitter, Facebook. Search for us over there, 10 Point Podcast. Send us messages, like us, subscribe, messages, do's, don'ts, yeses, no's, questions, recommendations, all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, give us some feedback. We've been doing this for like 7 seasons, and only one person gave me feedback, and then nobody else has ever bothered.
We've had other bits of feedback, but it's just from people that we've run into generally to give us feedback, but not any.
Remember that time that one person knew the 10 Point Podcast at the convention I was present?
You were at a convention. Quite quickly after we started, and someone came up to you and was like, "Oh yeah, I know you," and all that sort of stuff.
I have no idea who they were.
Yeah, if I remember rightly, you ran away rather than ever actually
panicked.
Yeah, communicating with them. This 10 Point Podcast on the internet. You've got this far. You're listening to episode 190 odd, whatever it is.
Oh, you started because you really, really enjoy this film and the subject matter.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Welcome to the Space Oddity podcast for the 7 people that have seen this film this year. Before we get on to Space Oddity, what was our highlights of the week? Now, I'm pretty much going to lay out here and let Andy go at it because Andy has teased us with what he's going to be talking about. So, Andy, fire away with your highlight of the week.
Well, so I pretty much messaged you guys as soon as I came out of the cinema, basically going, I need to retire the podcast because I don't think I could ever watch a film that's any better than last season, which is Fast and Furious 10.
Sorry, Andy.
Oh, no.
You went completely mad for me
and
Chris.
My end.
Right, well, exactly. You'll be fine.
Good.
But
that's how mad this film was.
It was quite funny. Yeah, it broke the internet.
It broke the internet. But yeah, basically, best film ever. Can't beat it ever again. So I'm going to basically retire from watching films, and it's Fast and Furious 10. What a film! Because, like, it's called Fast and the Furious. It is definitely fast. It is definitely furious, and it's multiplied by 10.
Ah, okay, I get
like
you.
that is the kicker. What a my eyes bled for 2.5 hours.
I genuinely thought you'd been sarcastic about this film.
No, oh my fuck! Genuinely, I went in with I heard rumblings that it's a bit shit and it's kind of like your action thing. I came out going, what a belter of a story! Like, I mean, it had substance, like proper, like I don't know, some of the best like stories we've ever done on this podcast. And then I was like, all right. It had the best villain ever. Like, Jason Momoa absolutely nails it out of the park. And then I was like, this has got the best action sequences I've ever seen in my life, including the first 45 minutes is one gigantic action sequence, which should be the end of a film, but that's just the start of the fucking film.
It's the start, right?
And I was just like, how could you top this? Like, this is, like, both batshit crazy, unrealistic, but at every single step of the way, I'm like, yep, he could definitely do that. Like, there was not one point I went, nah, bullshit. All the way, I just believe that these guys can 100% do it. And I'm going to go too far to say now that the Fast and the Furious franchise has had its ups and downs, but ultimately is better than the MCU.
Oh, right, okay.
Honest to God, they turned that franchise round. Like, it's humble roots of street racing to some bad, dodgy spin-offs where Vin Diesel wasn't in it, and then a cameo, to then having Vin Diesel in it, and then I think they really found their way from Fast 5 onwards.
Oh, absolutely.
Which
Yeah.
Fast 5 to Fast 10 that's the story arc ultimately. There's not really much from the first 4.
Yeah.
But fucking hell. Like, and then the post-credit scenes, I'm like, holy shit, that's the best post-credit scene. I like didn't see it coming. Couldn't believe it. And I was like, this is better than fucking MCU like post-credits. Like, I'm sold.
Yeah.
And then came out, held the door open for, I mean, there must have been about 60 or 70-year-old couple, right? Came out, she was hobbling down, and she just came out and looked at me and went, what a brilliant film that was. And I was like, it was a belter. But I was just like,
Jeez, Andrew, this made it nice.
like, honest to God, like, yeah, just was holding the door just when she walked past with the old husband. I mean, he was about 80, she was easily 70. And yeah, she just literally just looked at me and went, what a brilliant film that was. And I was like, it's like, it works for old people. It makes no sense.
Oh, dear.
So, yeah.
I can't possibly even comment. But what I will say is, I think Andy has pretty much spoken the only positive words I've heard about this film.
Bullshit. This is going to break records.
Metacritic and all that sort of stuff, but Andy definitely will skew all the scores and all these.
I'm telling you, this film is going to be like, it's going to be a slow burn, because I must admit there was only about 8 people in the cinema.
Right, okay.
on a Meerkat day, but this is good. It's a slow burn. But mind you, I think it's broken box office records already. It's like it's not Guardians off the thing, so it's doing something right.
Good point. Yeah, I suppose people are excited for it, but yeah, I don't want to. I can't really comment on it.
Honest to God, it was an hour and a half where I came out and my eyes were watering because it was emotional. It had substance. I didn't blink once because I didn't want to miss anything.
Maybe that's why your eyes were watering.
It was, and I mean, like there was even a couple of dodgy bits of CGI where I was still like, it's fine.
It's fine.
Like, I'm not going to even moan about it because you've just pulled that off and then you've just added this person in and then this actor's in it. It's like, they just kept coming at me. I was just like, fuck. It's like, how'd you get this better? It's like, all right, yep. You're just, every scene was just bang, bang, bang. And then Jason Momoa, when it dips, there is slow bits, but then Jason Momoa just comes back and you're like, this man is brilliant. And I found out apparently they basically just went, Jason, just do whatever you want in this film.
Yeah, that's what I'd heard.
And knowing Jason Momoa, like I've had multiple experiences with Jason Momoa.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
he pretty much just plays himself in this film, and I mean, for the good.
Right, yeah.
Like he comes across as a weird homosexual, gay, straight, muscular. I don't know what he was. Couldn't even tell you, but he was a great bad villain, badass.
The most praise I've heard is that Jason Momoa is having the time of his life in this film. So
100%.
So there you go. I have a question about it. Some complaints where the film just suddenly ends, and it feels very much like what we felt like a year ago with Dune, which was you feel like you've watched a movie that is part one rather than a whole thing. Is that
is the low point? It brings it down 1%.
Right. Okay. So it's 99 out of 100. Right?
It's 99 out of 100, but it'd still be a 10 out of 10 on the classification 10-point podcast.
Yeah. Okay.
But yes, it does end. But like I said, you've got your 45 minutes action sequence. You've got some emotional shit in the middle, and then you've got another hour and a half of action sequence at the end, and it kind of rounds out. It does end,
okay,
but yeah, they're doing another one, and then the stuff at the end is they can spin this off for years. I'm ready for another. I'm ready for another 20.
They will try to. I think it'll never. Eventually, they'll find some way getting rid of Finn when he can't do it anymore.
I mean, put it this way: Fast and the Furious 9 went into outer space. I thought that's ludicrous, but they did it. They did it tastefully.
Nice.
Have they topped it? Have they?
But this one, it's just like, this is batshit crazy. And at one stage, like I said, I believed all of it. I believed the physics, including what you call that big guy that it's in Jack Reacher or whatever. He's a guy in it now as well.
Oh, right, okay.
He basically actually makes the joke going, Dominic Toretto, he literally bends physics. Doesn't make sense.
Right, okay,
physics are scared of him, and I'm like, they even make a joke about it in the film now, which I'm all with. It's good.
It's not to be taken seriously, Fast and Furious.
I don't know. It's like I said, that's my issue. It's got proper raw substance, and I feel like that shit could be going on right now, and we just don't know about it.
Might well be. I think that personally, I'm kind of out on the Fast and Furious now. Like I'm kind of done. Like, as much as Andy's recommended this, I'm like,
oh, get back on it.
Like Fast 5 was the best one, and then 7 was pretty good, and I'm like, I've kind of had my fill. But that's because I love the Mission Impossible movies, and I'm like, I just prefer how they do it. And if they're going to make 20 of them, I'd rather watch 20 Mission Impossibles.
Oh,
So
Fast and Furious, they've trumped everything. They've trumped Mission Impossible, they've trumped the MCU now.
Right, there you go. The greatest franchise of all time.
It could
Chris,
be.
we'll go on to you then. We still have plenty of time, trust me. I don't know if I'm not got a lot to say later, so carry on with your highlight of the week, Chris.
Well, I watched another Nicolas Cage film. Well, I'll quickly say I watched the Prisoners of Ghostland. That's
What a
shit.
film.
Avoid that at all cost.
What a film.
I don't know that one. That's
I did not
also-
expect testicle.
I know. I forgot. Yeah.
Was it the same? Testicle
You
eyes?
full Nicolas Cage with his balls got blown off.
Ah, okay.
You actually see
Uh,
Nicolas
yeah.
Cage's balls. You see his scrotum, or his taint, and then you see his actual physical ball in that film.
I
Fantastic.
was passed out at that point.
You fell asleep.
I
The
might
film
not
I
bother.
did watch, Renfield.
Aye.
It was okay. It was a nice humorous twist on the
okay.
whole Dracula Renfield dynamic thing.
Okay.
I thought it was alright. Nicolas Cage again, going full Nicolas Cage. And he's
It has to reach the point, really. That's all
kind
it
of
goes.
face-off get-up at the start.
I was,
But
like I said, when I watched that film, my mind was blown that that was actually Nicolas Cage in that outfit. Because
Tell because every now and again he's just got the yeah kind of
aye,
thing.
because at the start we were like, oh no, that's just it's Nicolas Cage's voice, and then suddenly you just see bits of his face in it. I'm like, that is actually Nicolas Cage. Like, they've done that.
It's funny.
Yeah. I enjoy it. It's quite funny. So if you want something different,
There you go.
I'd watch that. Maybe I just kind of stole the podcast with Fast X.
Oh, well,
Great
nothing
film
could
ever.
top that. Speaking of Nicolas Cage, I'm quite excited because he's coming to Dead by Daylight as a character you can play as in Dead
I've
by
seen
Daylight.
that, yeah.
Which I think he's going to be one of the survivors rather than one. I thought he might be one of the villains. Like this Nicolas Cage
Yeah.
trying to come and kill you. man.
Just running after you.
Yeah, but no, he's going to be a survivor. So I think that's some point across the summer. Is that your highlight, Chris?
Yeah.
Then, two small ones for me, both TV. I've not been watching movies this week. I started on Netflix Inside Man. It's not the movie, the Denzel Washington movie, but it's like David Tennant is like the poster man for it, but it's a sort of thriller. David Tennant plays a priest, but it's kind of two stories at the same time where David Tennant is a priest, and I'll get into this story in a minute, and then the other half of Stanley Tucci is on death row in America, but he's basically Hannibal Lecter, as in he's like the smartest man in the world locked up to be killed, but they take cases to him for him to solve, and he basically just sits there in prison and solves cases. He's like, oh well, from all the information you told me, it's this, and he solves cases. So, but obviously we know that about him, but we don't know what's happening with David Tennant's side of it, and you jump to the conclusion it's going to be some bizarre case that Tucci's going to have to solve from in prison. And basically what happens is Tennant's a priest. I've only seen episode 1, so David Tennant's a priest, so spoilers for episode 1. And this weirdo who comes into his church gives him a flash drive, saying, "Can you hide this for me? Can you hide this from me? Like my mum is gonna like kick the shit out of me if she finds what's on it." So immediately your mind jumps to the conclusion this guy's got something
That's
horrendous.
flag.
Exactly. So Tennant, being the priest, is like, "Okay, I will take it away from you and all that." So then Tennant gets into like a jumbled up situation where the flash drive gets put into a computer in his house by a non-family member, and she sees what's on this flash drive, and it's then what this priest does when this happens in his house, and it all turns into a whole thriller, and it's all that sort of good. There's certain shadows of other sort of Netflixy sort of thriller things mixed in there, but on episode 1 I'm quite into it. It's going to be quite
Quick
exciting.
question: if that did happen in real life, would the priest then become susceptible to the crime because he
He helps.
had the evidence? Yeah.
Like exactly, but that's the whole point. I don't know where it's going to go, and I'm actually there's even other people that get mixed in with who the flash drive belongs to. Like I said, I'm only in episode 1, but so far there's like 3 or 4 people that are all possibly in danger because of the single flash drive. And Tennant the whole time is trying to protect the guy who it belongs to because he thinks he's a suicide risk, and he can't have this suicide risk guy who's obviously troubled because he's got this horrible stuff on the flash drive. He can't have him exposed to he's committed whatever it is he's done, because he could kill himself, and he's the priest. I'm trying to do good. I'm trying to save this guy from killing him. So, episode 1, I'm into it, and I want to see more. It's only 4 episodes, so it's not a massive long thing. But yeah, Inside Man, it's called, not to be confused with the Spike Lee film. And the other thing I've watched, also dark. I watched this in the most perfect scenario I ever could have done, which made it so much better. Are you both familiar with Inside Number 9, the BBC television series?
Nope.
It's quite. So it's the guys who did League of Gentlemen. 2 of them, not Mark Gatiss, if that makes you feel better, Andy, not the guy from Sherlock. The other 2 from League of Gentlemen. It's like an anthology thing where every single episode, they're all half hour long. They're all different. There's never the same characters, but the two of them are nearly always in every single episode playing a character one way or another. And they're always weird, twisty. They're really dark, because if you know what League of Gentlemen are like, they're really dark. But there's always some dark humor, but then also proper like movie elements, like the horror and all that sort of stuff as well. Without realizing it was Inside Number 9, it was this sort of show. This week's episode was a quiz show. And it's like Lee Mack hosting this quiz show, like proper.
Oh, I've heard about this.
Yeah, this daytime TV, like asking daft questions, and the 3 teams of 3. The episode or the program, if you got on like your guide on TV, it was called 3x3. It wasn't called Inside Number 9. It was called 3x3, and the whole thing was presented as this real quiz show. And I watched it through a whole series of events again for me that happened, not knowing it was Inside Number 9. And this whole show's played out, and I'm just like, oh, this is quite a good little quiz show here. Oh, that's a wee bit like Family Fortunes, that's a wee bit like that. And I'm like, this team in the middle's a wee bit weird, aren't they? And then they've got that other team there, they've got a strange relationship, and it's going on. And at one point, one of the teams answers a question basically before he's complete. The question was something like, who in this year, who was the first person to? And then this girl answers the question before it was finished. And I'm like, how the hell did she manage that? And it twists into this thriller from there on in. But watching this quiz show, thinking it's a real quiz show, but it's this scripted sort of twist horror quiz show thing. It was just, it's the most bizarre experience I've had watching TV.
What I've read, I haven't seen, like, a lot of people went into the same line as you, like, thought it was a game show, and then something happened, and everyone's like, oh my god, I can't believe this happened on TV.
Yeah. Exactly.
I like complained to Ofcom and stuff.
Oh, if they went to the end thinking it was a genuine thing, I could see why they would complain.
That would be the thing that I've seen. Like, yeah, that's gonna make sense.
Yeah, Lee Mack, 3x3.
Yeah, I've seen loads of Lee Mack stuff. Like,
yeah,
like yeah, right, that makes sense.
He does another, he does like a 1%.
Yeah, the 1%. I thought I was on that. Right.
No, it's a genius move to get an actual quiz host to do it. So, and that's also on late at night, isn't it? His other quiz show, like later.
Yeah.
Which is because that was the other thing. It's like it's on 10 o'clock at night. So that's a weird time for it to be on. But yeah, fantastic. And to watch it like I did, not realizing like we didn't see it, but apparently the continuity person was like, "Oh, I'd just like to apologize that Inside Number 9's episode isn't going to be on this week. So in its place, we're going to air with Lee Mack quiz show, this and another." So even on the TV, we're like, "Oh, Inside Number 9's cancelled. Here's this quiz show." So it was phenomenal, and it's like sitting there like goosebumps. I'm like, "What? This is like the best quiz show. This team is incredible." It was fantastic. So yeah. To watch it in the way I did, it was my favorite thing on TV this week. So that's my high point. It could be tough to beat. Not as good as Fast X.
Well, I'll tell you what. I've got our 4th member of the podcast top pick, which he recommended to me, and I decided to power through and watch the episodes. Silo.
Oh yeah.
Oh right, okay. Is it good?
Sean recommended it, and I was like, the problem is he recommended it straight after watch Fast 10. I was like, there's no way it's going to be as good as Fast 10. And I put it on. It's not as good as Fast 10. However, I'm like, this is like Fallout, the TV show, and Fallout, the TV show's not even out yet. And I'm like watching it, and I'm like, right, okay, it's a lot of character development in the first episode. And I'm like, a lot of sex in the first episode. I was like, where's Sean leading me to?
Yeah, right, okay.
And then I was just like, right, okay, I get the characters. I'm 30 minutes in. I'm like, I know who everybody is, which is rare for a TV show. I was like, right, I know who you are. I know what you're doing. And then I get to the end of the episode, I'm like, motherfucker, I've got to watch the next one. So I just press play, watch the next one, and I get to the end of it, I'm like, bastards.
They've got me.
And I'm hooked. It's unfortunately, it's weekly now, so I've got one more episode to catch up on, then it's on Apple TV each week. But yeah, watch Silo. I'll give that a recommendation. John was right.
I'm gonna hit that. I am behind on Ted Lasso, so I can't even comment on Ted Lasso for like 2 weeks now. So once I've hit that,
I feel like 20 minutes of padding should.
That's yeah. Episode it might still be the normal sort of length, so we better crack on. Half an hour into the podcast or whatever with point number 1. What's the point? The point this week, the 2022
fucking wheel.
Somehow 2022 sci-fi allegedly rom-com Space Oddity. Written by Rebecca Banner, her first writing credit. She's only worked as a script something or other on a different thing. This is the first time she ever wrote anything.
I bet she's part of the writer's strike now.
Directed by Kyra Sedgwick. And I recognise that name. And it's definitely not for directing. I recognise her because she's actually an actress. famous for basically Born on the 4th of July. She was like Tom Cruise's kind of young love in Born on the 4th of July. She then met her husband when they both played leads in a TV movie called Lemon Sky, her husband being Kevin Bacon. That's how they met.
Ah, makes sense now.
I'm assuming that's how he got involved. She was also in Miss Rose White, Something to Talk About, Phenomenon, The Woodsman, the TV show called Closer. But her feature film directing debut is this film here, Space Oddity. She's done the odd episode of a TV show like Ray Donovan and other bits and pieces and all that. But this is her feature film directing debut. The film stars as Alex McAllister, Kyle Allen. I was not familiar with Kyle beforehand. Famous for American Horror Story Apocalypse. Andy, you are my American Horror Story specialist.
Don't even remember.
There you go. After that, All My Life, The Map of Tiny Perfect Things. He was in West Side Story from a couple of years ago. I've not seen that. But apparently, he's going to be He-Man in an upcoming Masters of the Universe film. And
bullshit.
I could not confirm whether it was animated or real, but it seemed like it was real. But on his IMDb page, it was like sci-fi, action, adventure. One of them was animated. So I don't know if that's because He-Man is animated in the past or...
It's not He-Man.
Well,
look at him.
One way or another.
Just move like that, Bruce.
Oh, yeah, that way, yeah.
That's not He-Man.
That's very He-Man. It said Prince Adam / He-Man. So maybe he's going to be the...
maybe, okay, right. Yeah, okay. He could be the before, then Dolph Lundgren back in.
Yeah, Dolph Lundgren will be He-Man. So that's Alex, our main star, our main character, I should say. As Daisy, Alexandra Shipp, who I did not recognise. She is definitely from something I've seen. She was in Straight Outta Compton, but then apparently she was Storm in 2 X-Men movies, Apocalypse and Dark Phoenix. I did not recognise her.
That just blew my mind right there.
Yeah, I did not know.
You've opened my world right there.
There we go. She was in Love, Simon. She was in Shaft from 2019, and then Tick Tick Boom. And she's also in Barbie that comes out in October.
Yeah, I just read about that today. Actually, she's on that.
She is. I don't know if she is.
We're on topic. See,
yeah,
very
much so. So that's Alex and Daisy. Our third main character, Liz, Alex's sister, played by Madeline Brewer, who I was like, I recognise you from somewhere. Turns out it's Orange is the New Black. She was in the first season of that. She is also, I think, in Handmaid's Tale. I think that's still going. And in films Cam and Hustlers from a couple of years ago as well. But that seems to be her. I don't really know her from much else. But Orange is the New Black is where I recognise her. And then a cast of familiar faces and other names that we'll get to, no doubt, throughout the podcast. On a budget of, I've no idea. I don't think it had an opening weekend. Straight to streaming, Andy? I'm not sure. I think it's straight.
I think because you keep saying it's 2022, but I think I was on like a film festival.
Tribeca's where the premiere was last year.
And then I think it just went straight to some streaming service.
They probably put it at Tribeca to try and sell it, and then whoever bought it is a streamer, and they just put it on the streaming services last month before, recently anyway. So money-wise, I've no idea.
Within a month, because that's my wheel rule.
31st of March is when it was released. So
wheel rule.
2023 means it qualifies for, I think, the upcoming award season. I have no idea. It's not won anything so far. I didn't win anything at Tribeca when it was there, I'll tell you that much. So no awards thus far. On to the synopsis. I was thinking no one's going to write a synopsis for this. I was going to call up ChatGPT to the bat, but Frank has written us a synopsis. And he was one of 3 that I was going to pick from. So people have done a synopsis for this. Synopsis of Space Oddity. Alex yearns to journey to the outer reaches of space and finally gets his chance through a privately funded Mars colonization program. As he undergoes rigorous preparation, he meets Daisy, a newcomer to town, trying to escape her past. Oh yeah. Despite their different backgrounds, they form a deep bond, each carrying secrets they're desperate to keep hidden. However, as doubts arise about the legitimacy of the program and the future of his family's flower farm is thrown into uncertainty, Alex is forced to confront the daunting question of whether to face his past or embark on a journey into the unknown depths of the universe. What the hell? Very grand sound.
Yeah, that makes the film sound watchable.
It makes it sound very Who picked? It was the Wheel of Newish Movies. Had it before? No, of course we hadn't. Which channel would we find this on?
Hallmark.
I was thinking the Lifetime movie channel.
Yeah, it's definitely a Lifetime Hallmark film. This
very cheesy. Yeah.
We'll put it this way, right? So obviously we picked this. Me and Chris did a live podcast, which kind of was disaster-ish, but it was still worked. And then when we found the film and went inside, and I was like, let's put YouTube on and watch the trailer. I turned the trailer off like 30 seconds in, gone. I was like, fucked up here. This wheel has fucked us hard.
It was sandwiched between Super Mario and Renfield.
No.
To be fair, it was the closest it ever came, other than Troll, the boy in the striped pajamas, and something else.
I don't know what Chris picked.
Basically vetoing the motherfucker and just going, should we just do this instead? Like,
I think if I had watched this prior to today, that's how enthused I was to watch this. I might have been like, anyone fancy doing something else this week? But yeah,
it makes for an interesting podcast. We'll make it fun. Don't turn off.
We'll talk about it the same as we would otherwise. So, only one version, so we've seen the same version. Point 2, the high points, the best bits and things.
Point 3, low points.
I mean, I've got some.
I've got some too. I've probably got more than Snatch in all fairness somehow.
There we go. I laughed when the woman in the interview near the beginning says, "If you have kids up there, are they Martians?" So I laughed at that. So I was like, at that point,
that was the comedy part of it hit.
Yeah, so I was like,
check
yeah.
One joke.
The com is ticked. Now we're waiting for the ROM. But yes, I put that as a high point. I thought it was funny and it made me laugh. And it's the kind of question I'd be asking as well. And then I thought about it and I was like, would they be Martians? And what legal rights would they have if you have children up there, if you were to come back to Earth and all that? But yeah, that was the first high point, was that question. And it's quite early on. So anybody else? I have others. Don't worry.
The CPR class. I thought that was quite a high point. Like,
I tell you what, right?
You can't actually do CPR on an actual person.
You can't. Exactly. You can't do it.
That did blow my mind that she just turned up in it and then she's like CPRing.
One of my low points is the first aid course. Everybody else in the room, including people who are paired up, have dummies, but he has to do it on Daisy because rom-com. Like it's annoyed.
It is a smooth move though. Just like, what do I do this? Oh, that's the.
Well, that's kind of like, this is my high point, right? And it's kind of an overall high point that kind of fades into a low point at the same time, which is, I was hooked with the story. I was like, all right. Straight away, I was like, red flags. It's like, you're just a nutter.
Yeah.
You're not going to space. I very much got that straight. I was like, cult. And then literally they even say cult later on. I'm like, But then I was just like, maybe he's just like having a proper like midlife crisis and he's just dreaming all this and like he's actually doing CPR on a dummy and this like woman's a
it's Joker, is it? Right, okay.
Yeah, and I was just like, this could be a good concept of the film, and all the way through I was like, she's not real. Like she is not real. Like she is. And then it's just like, even when the sister goes, go and get her, and she's like hesitant, I was like, because she's fucking made up. This man's a nutter. Like I'm up for this. Like, this is going to be this. No, it didn't pay off at all.
I would probably like that better.
But I was hooked because I was like, I had this whole story in my head because I was just like, this is okay. Yep. Because pretty early on, I worked out he's not going to Mars. This is not the sci-fi part of this is bullshit.
Yeah, there's a lot of the fi, not so much of the sci.
I had the theory that I knew as soon as you mentioned the accident, I was like, he was in a car accident. I thought he had maybe health issues.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah, he's a little bit of a nutter. His family are all like trying to just thingy, and this is a made up person.
He's in dreamland.
Yeah.
I will come on to this sort of stuff in low points for me. But yes, all valid points so far. High point for me, Carrie Preston as Alex's mother. She is great in everything she's in. The actress that plays Alex's mother. She is in TV shows. She'll do a run on here, and she'll pop up in a film and be a kind of bit part as the kind of wacky, a little bit off kilter kind of sometimes mother, sometimes pal of a main character. But Carrie Preston is really good in this, and I think she really only has to like act in about 2 scenes, and she's really good at it. But the rest of the time, she's friendly, she's excited, and all that stuff, and she's actually a nice. I enjoyed watching her on screen when she was on screen. I thought she was fun. So some good acting. I say Carrie Preston in this film, so she was a high point for me.
I'll say the acting wasn't actually bad. So
I wanted more Bacon, and Bacon was pretty good when he was there. But
yeah,
I think it was just enough Bacon.
Yeah. Bacon's almost verging on cameo, which I'm sure we'll come to later. He's kind of present, but not in the film, and then kind of like Carrie Preston, he has 2 scenes really. So
he's front and center in the fucking movie poster.
Yeah, that's how you sell it. Yeah. Another high point for me. Most of what Dimitri says made me laugh. His kind of Russian metaphors and mixed up, and I quite enjoy.
I like his like what he's saying, but
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. What he says is quite funny and brings a lot of the comedy to this rom-com. Does Dimitri? Random selection of everything. All the rest might come up in low points of what this character is, but what he actually comes out with amused me. So that's a high point, I would say. I have one more, so carry on.
I've got two ones. Teaching the kids about the solar system, that was quite a high point. Like
Actually,
just have the physics going round them. That was
I like that. I like the way he did it. However, it did bring like school horror flashbacks for me. Because just like you'd always get that person who would come in and teach you something at school, and you're like, oh, God, it's gonna be interactive. And then you're like, oh, and then they're always like him. He's like trying to be enthusiastic, and everybody just like sits and just doesn't give a shit. And he's like, they're going to pick on one person. So I like the way he picked on everybody.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's just like, like when Mr. Boom used to come in and he always needed an assistant or something.
That's not Boom. What a legend.
It's like that, or it's just like the road safety people. It's like, don't pick me. I don't want to be touched by an old man. Just like that shit. School assemblies, that shit would always run through my head.
Yeah, I'm happy to watch somebody else doing whatever.
Yeah, but it's just like when everybody's sitting there just going, I'm not going to move.
Yeah,
and but like, I don't mind when everybody gets involved, and I did like the way he did it. And it's just like, but I'll tell you what, if I was one of them kids, I'd be spewing.
Oh yeah, it's like the whole time.
Yeah, that poor fucking kid is like, I'd be the son, I'd happily be that like little girl. But yeah, Nick Mercury fucking cruising, like he must have been fucked by the end of it.
Like just before it cuts away, he gets the moon for like Earth. We've got Earth, and then now you're the moon. So that means as he's going round,
he's going to rotate as well.
Oh yeah, shambles. But yeah, it was a nice touch, and also I think it put him in a good light. That he's like, I know this is going to be hell. So what can I think on his feet? Okay, here we go. We'll make this fun for everybody. I do have a low point involving that scene, but again, that will come to. Any others? I'll hang on. Well, I'll give you my last low point. When they visit high points. When they last visit Curtis, or when they finally visit Curtis, that scene is really good. And it shows my character that it's like the darkest scene of the film, basically, where it's like this guy who is your pal, basically your only friend. He's like kind of lost the plot as a bit of a psycho. Literally doesn't care about his wife and kids.
I did love that thing. There's a kid at the window. He's like, I'll just turn that up.
The music coming on, but yeah, that scene was really good, and I think that was the turning point where really it was like all of us except Alex don't think this is a real thing. At that point, he's kind of like, this is maybe not a good thing. It may be real still, but it might not be a good thing. But yeah,
I thought it was a scam set up by him just to get away from his family. He's like, I'm going to Mars. I'll never be coming back. He's going to start a new family over in Mexico or something.
Could be. So any other high points before we get on to low points?
I don't know. Curtis is my last one.
Curtis the last one.
No, just Kevin Bacon's kind of monologue. Well, not his monologue, but when he was driving past in his little go-kart, that just amused me.
Oh yeah.
Okay, they're having the big kind of relationship.
Yeah, they're doing the big thing, and then just Kevin Bacon rocks up, and then it's just like, they're like, God, get away!
Deal with that, and then do with that, and then afterwards do that.
I love the little gangster thing, just sitting like that. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, there we go. That's it for high points. On a low point.
Right. Elephant in the room.
Right.
Was there an actual space program, or was there not?
That's annoying.
Yeah.
I'm
saying no.
I don't know. Like towards the end of my low points, which is a good sign, I have spent the last 45 minutes not caring about anything in this film except whether the mission was real or not.
Yep.
And then afterwards, I'll keep on going. I have literally expected or predicted every single element of this film, from the relationships to the pacing to even how his brother died. All of it, except predicting whether the mission was real or not. And of course, I never find out whether the mission was real or not. So
she said she searched into it, and it's all ifs and buts. So she found something.
For me, it's on the news. That was the whole time I was thinking the news wouldn't be covering it if it wasn't at some way genuine.
Yeah,
unless it was a cult, and they would cover it for a cult. So this is it's confusing.
I think we're not supposed to know, and it's supposed to. Oh, that's not supposed to be important. It's like it's why I'm watching the film. To be honest, it is important. So frustratingly, I have no idea whether it was real or not.
Well, I just open up a whole can of worms again.
That's definitely all. So my low points start with the marshmallow meat cute. I think the kids call it these days. The
you
meat cute.
hate kids though.
Yeah. When he's facing the opposite direction, and she's like, "Did you just throw a marshmallow at me?" And he's like, "Sorry, no, I was messing around with the kids here over there." So that scene is awkward, and then she is so bad at acting in that scene, and it's not the end for her for poor old Alex. She was horrific. She then drags Kyle Allen, Alex's acting down. I thought he was fine throughout. And then the kids start going, and one of them later on acts, and she's all right. And this scene, they were horrific as well. The whole thing is just improbable and stupid, and I'm like, and the love at first sight, immediately no chemistry between the two. Like, I do not, at any point for the rest of the film, think the two of them should be together, and they have there's no chemistry between them either. And it's that even just the scene where they met was bad, and it just didn't get any better from there.
It did seem like it was like, like I think Kevin Bacon brings up that it's like she's just an undercover reporter, and this is a hustle for her.
Yeah,
because 100%, like I didn't believe anything. It's just like straight away, you don't go to a CPR course and then just do mouth to mouth straight away. That's a bit weird.
Yeah, and the two things he did in the first aid course was CPR and then the Heimlich.
Yep.
But this is a setup.
However, the Heimlich was already after they banged, so that's a bit fine. He's
again, yeah. That weird pacing with that as well. I think about it.
It feels like that was
what he wanted.
And I'll tag onto that. I absolutely do not buy her as an insurance salesperson either. Like
how can you just fall into a job and be like a proper...
Like, her uncle was the boss, but it's like still, how does she like within a week or whatever get the power to be like, let's give this spaceman insurance and all?
I also have a massive problem because that's not how insurance works. It's like that would be like a death row inmate signing up to life insurance.
Yeah, exactly. I will be dying. Yeah.
I feel like no insurance company is going to go, we'll have a look at it for you. We'll give you the hot female assistant just in case. It's like, it doesn't make sense. Does not make sense.
And I'll tag a very small low point because I don't know if Chris watched the headphones on. Some of the ADR was horrendous in some of the outdoor scenes.
I noticed that the audio kind of went like if somebody's running, then it would be like I could hear rubber just like smashing the ground for wellies and stuff.
They do sound effects.
Yeah, a lot of them were like they're out in a field with the fan. You can see the wind blowing, and then you hear like they're talking really, really clearly like this, and it's like literally just in a room with a microphone right next to you doing the ADR for it. It was really, really bad. Some of that, but that's very technical for a low point. There was far worse things with the film than that. Any others? I do have a couple more that I'll try and.
I didn't like his seed fertilization story arc, where he's going to go work for NASA.
Did he have Martian soil, or had he like got that from the company with them being like, "Here's some Martian soil for you to look after"? I
feel like it was just normal soil, but I don't know. They worked out what was in thingy, and you just put a bunch of chemicals in it to make it like that.
Yeah, again, it was a weird.
But ultimately, it was just made of fucking gaffer tape and some tubing.
Yeah, and for that in the end to be like, "Oh,
NASA wants you."
Yeah, I'm sacking the whole going to Mars thing. My fridge out in the tent out of there. And Kevin Bacon's like, "Oh, that's a fantastic idea. That's a way better idea." Like, oh, really? Is it? Yeah.
It was the fridge with some ducting stuck to it and a fucking blower. I was like, sure, they're making it less efficient here.
Yeah. Oh, terrible.
Well, since you're talking about that scene, Simon Helberg. Nothing wrong with him whatsoever, but he did not have to be Russian. No, there was no need for his Russian accent. He could have just been
anybody.
A guy called Dmitry.
He didn't have to be called Dmitry. He could have called him Jim, and he just done my only assumption is he's Russian because of the whole association that Americans have with Russians and space and all that sort of stuff. But even then, you're right. I don't even know if he was good at Russian. Like, it didn't sound like a fantastic accent.
I remember Big Bang Theory was good at accents, but I mean. He pretty much just talked in a normal accent with a little bit of a "nyet" added in again.
Yeah, I don't know. Again, it feels like he was added. We need someone to be funny in this film, so I'll write in this weird, wacky Russian guy, and I'll call in a favor with Howard off of Big Bang Theory to come and play him.
Yeah, it's almost like they need somebody smart. And everybody's like, "Who's smart?" Oh, yeah, that guy from the Big Bang Theory. He's smart.
Yeah. A couple of queries again about people. In this film, Liz, which is the daughter of the family, for no reason, just being an absolute dick about the farm. Flowers don't do anything, or even matter. It's like, well, this is the horrible thing to say. Like, flowers serve a purpose, and your literal life has been paid for with flowers. And it's just for her to be just so horrible. Like, this film just outright made her like the baddie at that point.
Yeah.
And then they just gave up on that. Like, actually, nah, she's a sister. She's gonna fall in love with Howard, and then they're gonna like everyone's gonna big happy family, and that she loves her brother and all that sort of stuff. And it's just weird that all like out of nowhere she was just like horrible, back to being normal again. And then we've mentioned the school class, which I liked. Are you allowed to just turn up at a school to watch a class like Daisy does?
I was confused about that. Did that happen after school hours? Because there was no teacher, there was no parents, there was nothing.
Oh, the teacher was definitely a teacher there.
Yeah.
Was there? That's a teacher.
Definitely a teacher there. I don't know who. I remember there being another adult there because it wasn't just him. He was there as a guest.
His mum and his sister were there.
They were there, but I'm sure I'm positive it was a teacher there. But yeah, like at least they all would he be like, oh, at the front desk in the school, look, this girl called Daisy, she's gonna be showing up. Well, who is this Daisy? Well, what's her surname? I'm not sure what her surname is. Oh, so what relation is she? She's not really a relation to me at all. She's just someone I kind of know. I've known her about 3 days, but she's coming along. All right then, okay.
Oh, she was doing insurance things that you said. Oh, this will answer some of your questions. Like, apparently, I know the solar system and I'm good with kids.
Yeah. So yeah, it's just weird that she just rocked up to the school to watch class, which is kind of strange.
This is going to paint Alex in a really bad light. Just brace yourselves. Like, throughout the film, he is obsessed with this Mars and space program thing. And then he plays with some kids in a fake rocket, and then all of a sudden he's like, do you know what? I'm not going to Mars. Do you know why? Because he's a pedo. There's no kids in Mars, and he wanted to play with the kids.
We always get to that. Every film, guys dig down to being a paedophile in it.
Quickly.
Exactly.
I mean, at some point there is a massive 180 where he just decides all of a sudden. I think the film's trying to tell us it's him thinking about his brother is what does it in the end, or not thinking about his brother. I guess I don't know. The grief kind of the weight gets lifted off of him and he doesn't go anymore. But you're right that he gets in a rocket and
it's the kids.
The kids, and then
there's no kids on Mars.
I think I've only got a couple more low points to dig for.
I don't think I can top that one. I think you have to.
When he's trying to bed Daisy, he takes her to the beach because I know you miss swimming. Quote, I know you miss swimming, and that's why I brought you to the beach. She goes in to run to play in the water, and he goes, "What are you doing?"
It's
you
cold.
literally just brought her to the beach because she misses swimming. You just expect her to be, look, here's water. I know you miss swimming. Let's go. Let's head off now. Of course she's going to go into it. Yeah, the scene that's behind Chris on the video, that annoyed me, that he didn't know what she was doing. And I have one more low point. Any others from you guys? Mine's right near the end.
Mine's I just hate the end, so.
Yeah, where he just decides out of nowhere to not do it.
Did
I miss why the big apology had to happen on the farm? Because he sent his sister to go get Daisy.
Oh, because he's planting daisies.
Is that literally what it was? Because he'd planted a bunch of daisies.
Yeah.
Horrendous.
I imagine so.
Like, he could just have gone to her house and said everything there and been like, oh yeah, I've got some daisies for you. Like, terrible. Yeah, pretty rough watch. Not horrendous, but it's not my kind of thing. Anyway, we're at low points. We're not going to waste any more time. Stats! Got the usuals. I believe there was only one shit and one F-bomb, but I could be wrong. My ears pricked up.
No, there's a couple of bullshits and shit and stuff like that.
I got one bullshit. But, yeah, low. There was definitely one F-bomb out of nowhere. I was like, whoa, wait a minute here. But it must be to keep their rating, whatever it was. No explosions, no deaths, unless you count the death of the brother. Oh, the death of the brother. I'll come to the death of the brother later on. He didn't die in the film, doesn't really count. No cows, no goats, despite the whole thing being on a farm. No dead animals either. Pedophile, been there.
Yep.
Tom Cruise, Tackleberry trifecta. Alex runs and gets the girl, which is the first one in a while. No motorcycle again, unfortunately. No riding a motorbike. Save us, Tom Cruise. My special one for the episode. This film is called Space Oddity. I thought it was going to be a David Bowie thing when I first watched it. Turns out it isn't it? There's hundreds of David Bowie references in the film. There's one. It's the song Space Odyssey. Oddity, and it's not the Bowie version. So yeah, and not a good version, and not even probably the best cover version I've heard of it either. So yeah, one David Bowie reference the entire time. Did they say the thing though? Space Oddity.
No.
They don't, because they don't even say it in the song either. So no. My thinking is they had a script for a film. We don't know what to call it, and someone was like, "Can we call it Space Oddity?" And they do, because at the very end, it's very clearly Space Oddity movie is what it's called at the end of the credits with all the copywriting and all that sort of stuff. So they're able to get around the copywriting of it. Chris, stats from you.
Mars is said exactly 50 times for this film.
Ooh.
And gone to exactly 0 times.
0.
Yeah, that was it.
Andy, a fun fact about Space Oddity.
I didn't really have one, but this film was filmed in Rhode Island. There you go.
It was filmed on location, I believe. I think it's meant to be. I have no idea what you said.
It was like a film filmed in Rhode Island. Again?
Yeah, he went like robotic.
No, it's filmed in Rhode Island. I'm pretty sure it's set in Rhode Island.
I think it's set there. That was my best guess, because I was going to put it's set from Mars.
I reckon Chantel's using my fucking internet again.
Maybe.
Kids.
Live from Mars, but they never went there, so I couldn't do that. On to point 5.
Drop the internet in Mars.
This could be a laugh from Mars. The 10-point podcast quiz, Andy, if your internet holds up.
Right. Well, we're going to see your knowledge of the solar system.
Ah, fuck! I was going to take notes on this and I forgot.
So this is literally just a generic quiz all about the solar system, written by AI.
By AI again, right? Okay.
So who wants to go first?
I'll go first because I'm going to watch this big time.
You sure? There's an easy and a hard set, so you definitely want to go first.
Hi.
Go first. Right, Chris. 2 points on offer here. How many planets are there in the solar system? And name them all.
I'm going to say 6.
Right.
Mars, Mercury, Uranus, Earth, Jupiter, Saturn.
That's the
Venus. Ah, fuck, there's 7. Because Pluto's technically not a planet anymore.
Chris, you get thrown over to Bruce.
Did he get anything right there?
He named some planets, yes.
He didn't get the number correct or able to name them all. Right, okay. In that case, there are 7 planets. And they are Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune.
Oh, Neptune. Fuck.
I've named all the planets, but it's actually 9, isn't it? So
it's actually 8.
8! Ah, damn it.
And your planets were Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune.
Neptune, but no Pluto.
Neptune.
Right, okay.
Because Pluto was downgraded recently.
So do I get it right?
Say Pluto.
No, because you named too many.
Well, I named them all, didn't I?
No, okay, right. I'll give you 1 point, Bruce, for naming them all.
Hey.
You don't get the number right because you got it wrong.
1 point. I'll take it.
Right, Bruce. 2 points are on offer again. What is the planet known as the red planet, and why is it called the red planet?
Mars is known as the red planet.
Correct, 1 point. Now I need a good explanation for this extra point.
I'm not going to say because it looks red. Is it because of there is a certain substance in the air that makes it appear to be red to the human eye? That is my guess.
It's not good enough, Chris. Do you want to take a stab at why it's called? Why it's red? Right, okay, no, I knew that was coming. So the actual answer, it's something along the lines of, it looks red because of the iron oxide, which technically what Bruce was saying, but actually turns the surface red because it's actually rust.
Right, okay. So it's the sort of, I wasn't sure.
Rust.
Trick might have been something in the air rather than the ground. Okay, cool. Fair enough.
No,
I'm happy with that.
Right. Chris, nice easy one for you. What is the largest planet in the solar system?
Shit. Jupiter.
It is Jupiter, 1 point. Bruce, what is the smallest planet in the solar system?
Right. Well, you've ruled out the one I think would have been in the past, but is no longer a planet. So I think Mercury is now the smallest.
It is Mercury. Chris, what is the closest planet to the sun? He's like school quiz. Fucking hell.
Neptune, I don't know.
Not Neptune. Bruce.
It is Mercury.
It's Mercury. Chris. No, Bruce. What
Yeah.
is the furthest planet from the sun?
Neptune is the furthest from the sun.
It is Neptune. He's on fire now, Chris.
I know my solar system.
What is the most prominent feature on the surface of the moon?
What?
What is the most prominent feature?
Oh, is it not like is there something called like the Sea of Tranquility? It's like a big crater.
No, but you're kind of on the right lines, but no.
Oh, that was what my guess was going to be. Is it? Oh, I don't know then. Craters?
No, what I was looking for was a thing called the Man on the Moon, which
Oh,
is a
right.
pattern of dark spots which resembles a face.
How, like, nearly before Chris answered was jokingly going to go, oh, the guy's face was what I was going to say. So, all right, fair enough.
Yep, apparently that's the most prominent feature. Right, is it Bruce?
Oh,
Yes.
it's a
Bruce or Chris?
complete
Right, Bruce.
walkover in this one.
What is the composition of the rings of Saturn? And not the wrestling move.
What's the composition?
So what's it made of in
Oh.
dumb English?
Right, okay, what is it made of? Thank you. Is it made up of, like, what do you call it? Like, broken up asteroids?
A bit more.
Rock
And
and metal.
no, I'll give you half a point. Chris, do you want to try and steal the other half a point?
Is it not ice?
It is ice for another
Oh.
half a point. Rock and ice.
Oh, rock and ice. I
Right.
thought of that.
Chris, nice easy one for you. What is the Kuiper belt?
I'm sorry, what?
Kuiper belt. Kuiper belt.
Super built.
Is that not like an asteroid field that they pass or something? I don't know.
Nope.
Is it, like, is that what they call the rings around Neptune or something like that?
No, it's the region of the outer solar system containing small icy bodies, including dwarf planets such as Pluto.
That's totally what I said. Did you not hear that?
Yeah, that's exactly what you said.
Paraphrasing, yeah.
And Bruce, to run away with it,
Mhm.
I think it's Bruce. No, it's Bruce.
Yes.
What is the difference between a meteor and a meteorite?
I was wondering this the other day, and I do not know. So I'm going to say a meteorite is smaller than a meteor. And that is my answer.
Nope. Right, come on, Chris. Blow our minds.
I don't know. Is a meteorite not fallen, but a meteor is like stationary?
It was a million miles off of it. A meteor is a brief streak of light produced by a small piece of interplanetary debris, which burns upon Earth's atmosphere, whereas a meteorite, which is kind of what Chris said, is a fragment of debris that survives falling to the Earth's surface.
So if it hits, it's a meteorite.
Yep.
Okay.
And if it's a meteor, it's a flash going burning up in the ozone layer.
Doesn't make it. Oh, okay. I'm glad I know the difference. I did wonder. I thought it was one of these things where it's in two words.
I'll forget about it next time.
Let's give a bonus one to Chris. Let's test his knowledge.
Okay.
Chris, for a bonus point, not even matters, but I just want to test your science knowledge. What is the third rock from the sun?
Ah.
I knew
There
this
we
one.
go.
There
we go.
This is
I
the
just
only
wanted
one
to say,
that's
make sure you
about
knew
the
something
sun.
about space.
I think John Lithgow. And then
I was going to take a whole bunch of solar system knowledge down. And I thought I completely forgot about it, just in case.
I have the order of planets in my head. I forgot how many. I thought Chris had already counted and taken away Pluto. So,
But
yeah,
that was written by AI, that one.
good. Well done,
AI.
AI. Quiz. Awesome. Right, there's a quiz over. I won that one quite handily. But science seems to be my specialist subject. Chris likes the numbers and the I Spy. Point 6 on the podcast. Movies and movies. Chris, did you I Spy any actors that we've had before in our universe?
Then apparently, I've got 4 people from the same movie here. Like
Okay.
Americo Prosciutto or Prosciutti or something like that, who was the florist, was in The Boston Strangler as a city official. Marianne Schaub, who was Tiffany, whoever that was, she was in The Boston Strangler as a courthouse clerk. There's a little theme going here.
Yeah.
Pamela Jane Morgan, who was Linda.
That's the one I had, Linda, from this.
She was in The Boston Strangler as Anne Salmons. Liam Anderson, who I think was one of the boys, Evan.
Okay.
He was in The Boston Strangler as Tommy. And just to throw a curveball here, Kevin Bacon as Jeff was in Tremors as Valentine.
He was in Tremors.
Is that X? I swear I've done him
You
more
have
than once.
missed one. Andy looks like he's lit up as if he's remembered one. Did you remember
I
one?
don't remember one.
I missed half your Boston Stranglers because I couldn't be arsed going through all these people who didn't have faces. But of course, Boston Strangler, Rhode Island, probably film close together. You missed. He was in Old School. Simon Herbert, i.e. Howard from The Big Bang Theory, was one of the pledges.
Oh my god, yeah, so
yeah, that was it, yeah.
So you missed
I was more taken aghast by that. I forgot we did Tremors as a podcast.
Oh, what film Tremors was. Yeah, you missed Howard. He wasn't Russian in that one. He was just basically...
How the fuck did I miss him? Because I remember being in it as well.
Yeah, we spotted him. Have you recast us into this particular film?
Yeah, well, I know for a fact you have got me as Curtis. But, yeah. So, no, I just put us as the old guys playing cards, just complaining about everything.
Oh, I mean, yeah. Rather than the three kids that were whatever. Yeah, you were Curtis. Andy was Alex, and I'm Tom. I'm the dead brother. I'll take that. Please get me out of this. Why did I have Andy as Alex? I don't remember why I had you as Alex, Andy. I'm sure there's some reason. Okay. Movie references. I did this mainly because they were quite obvious and I had not much else to do. Jurassic Park was referenced through the old Russian proverb, life finds a way. I like that scene. That was probably one of my favourite bits of the Russian fella. And then they mentioned Space Jam as well. I like that. A good shout out for Space Jam. Could this film have come out in 1995? I have both pros and cons. Pro, the same year as
Total Recall was made, so yeah, it did.
Apollo 13 came out in 1995, so I was like, oh, definitely. However, that had Kevin Bacon in it, so therefore there's no Bacon in it. He would not have done two space films back to back, I don't think. Dead Man Walking, they mentioned the brother very early on, and then he wasn't at the family round the table scene, and I'm like, the brother's dead here, and this is why he's doing it, and that was one of the first steps towards me being like, oh, well, that's going to happen, that's going to happen, that's going to happen. But other than that, I was never fearing for anybody else dying.
Honestly, I thought he was going to Mars.
Yeah, I was gonna say I never thought he was gonna go, but I was like, is the mission real? But yeah, the brother who's in the wrong movie, absolutely Howard from The Big Bang Theory. Like, no doubt. Everybody else kind of fits, but no, not him. Which trope is in this film? What does he die? I'll double down. I'll say a dead brother inspiring someone. I'm getting sick of dead brothers and living out. Oh, my brother would have wanted this, so I'm going to go do it instead. And I'm sick of that stuff. What other tropes, Chris?
I'm double down on my one from last week. MacGuffins.
What the
entire space thing is the fucking MacGuffin of this film.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe we should have another one. What was the MacGuffin and was it worthwhile in this film? That's another thing we need to bring in. Andy, do you have a trope?
Love at first sight.
Yeah, and even as awkward and as non-exciting as their love at first sight was as well. Point 7 on the podcast. That one thing that we're going to solve. I don't know if we've got the same one, but mine is it's that movie with the space mission that never happened.
Very much. Yep. Always remember that. The space romantic comedy that's got no space in it.
Yeah. Interstellar take away 90% of the film, basically. Is that all of us the same thing? Is it?
Well, I might just Flowers, but yeah, I'll go with your one.
Flowers.
Yeah.
Farmer Flowers.
I guess that is the unique thing. I would say I've never seen a flower farm in a film before, but they must exist, right? Obviously. Point 8, our nominations for the 10 Point Podcast Awards.
Yeah, there you go, Chris.
So carry on, Chris. I might not get many.
I'm stretching out a few here. So I pay best actor as Kyle Allen. I mean, because he was all right, I suppose.
He's all right, but he's not best actor.
I mean, like he was the main character, and I don't know.
He's not going to hit the top 5 awards anyway.
He'll not be nominated if it comes to the award.
I put best supporting as Simon Helberg.
So I've got Carrie Preston there because I thought she was good. I thought I quite enjoyed her. Whereas he's a bit campy.
You're both pissing the wind. None of these are going to get into the top 5.
Okay.
Biggest bail end award, Curtis.
Oh yeah, I'd thought of that. Yeah, definitely. He's definitely biggest bail end.
My best inanimate object was the kid's spaceship because that was quite cool.
Okay.
That was a fun scene actually.
Yeah, it was good. Yeah.
Also, how can kids build that shit?
I know. And they were full on. We love the army, and all of a sudden they were we love astronauts, and then they built a whole spaceship.
Yeah, like that would never happen back now. Like calling up people, and you want to build a spaceship? All right, it would not look like that. I'll tell you.
And you wouldn't be able to have it in public. It would be torn apart by big boys. Like they'd come and destroy it.
That pavilion was theirs. Like
yeah. It did feel like they were the only class in the entire town. It was just that whatever age group that was, and there was like 10 of them in the class.
What about worst twist? It doesn't actually go to space.
I think that's why.
I think we've seen that coming.
Twist. That wasn't even a space mission. Yeah, exactly.
Best father figure, I put Jeff because he stopped his son going on a one-way trip to Mars.
I suppose so. Yeah, I didn't have his worst, so I guess he would be best father.
He did
figure.
take a little bit too long.
Curtis.
I feel like he was like, "Oh, this thing isn't going to happen. I'll stay quiet and out of it," like how a lot of fathers do in various bits and pieces. I don't want to get involved. Kids, just do your thing.
Yeah, worst father figure is Curtis.
Oh, but yeah, undoubtedly, I don't why didn't nominate him. Yeah, you're right. He was the first sign to me that this might be a scam, because I was like, the one person he's speaking to is like a balding, middle-aged, out-of-shape guy. It's like, there's no way they're sending you in a spaceship.
My best line was "Life finds a way." I like that quote. I always use that quote.
Ripped from Jurassic Park.
Yeah.
Line.
I'm sure that was nominated in Jurassic Park.
It might have been.
Jurassic Park?
Let's give it the first one to win too.
Jurassic
If I won or not. Worst costume / outfit was Alex's sweaty Martian gear that he just wore everywhere.
The whole film is the same T-shirt on, yeah. Unless he bought like a ton off of the scam.
I reckon he did. It's part of it.
Yeah.
You put £2,000 in, and you get like.
That's how the
12
pyramid
t-shirts.
scheme works. You have to buy all this shit and
Yeah,
then
exactly,
sell
yeah.
the mission to everybody else.
I quite like it as a T-shirt though. Like, I don't think it as a T. I think it's kind of fashionable. If the film was big, it'd be popular, but the film is not going to be big, so it won't be.
I'm just gonna get one and just walk around with a Mission to Mars t-shirt.
The worst film reference.
Yeah, I know.
Nobody
Imagine
gets-
that one person will get it going, oh, that's that film, Space Oddity.
It's like the two of us would get it, but by next month we'll have forgotten this film even exists.
This could be the new Burbs, forgetting to put
Yeah.
most annoying kid, I put this trio at the pavilion.
Has to be, yeah, definitely.
I think that's me.
Let's see if I can find some. Best song isn't Space Oddity by whoever that was, but Curtis's space dubstep that he had was some
yeah.
the one he turned up.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah.
It's space music, but it was it's like the proper dubstep. Well, I think you've hit everybody else. Worst accent, we'll go for Simon Helberg as Ross.
It wasn't horrendous. It wasn't like Robert Duvall's Scottish accent, so I never nominated it.
It's not worth being in that category with Robert Duvall this year, I don't think. Worst acting, I'm going Alexandra Shipp as Daisy. I thought she was bad in most of the things, and I can't believe she's the most accomplished of the young ones.
Mind you, I would say she's probably best actress because I don't even remember her Storm.
Yeah, she was good in X-Men. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Worst kiss. The kiss wasn't bad, but I needed somewhere to be like the two of them were not a couple. Worst plan, signing up for a space mission over Skype. The anything over Skype is a bad idea. If you have me. Yeah.
God, they did that.
Yes, that's how
That's
we
number
got.
one sponsor here, Skype.
Yeah. And then the twist Chris is done. That's me. I have nothing else. Andy, do you have a product placement?
Well, pretty much you just said it, Skype and NASA.
Yeah, NASA. NASA are good. Your lot are terrible.
Yeah.
I think Skype. Let's go for Skype since I just insulted them. Point 9 on the podcast, the moral of the story. What was the lesson we're supposed to learn? Andy, what's your moral of the story?
Don't go to Mars. It's a scam.
Like going to Mars is a scam. Chris, what about you?
Yeah, women will stop you living your dreams.
Oh,
Oh,
God. Let's not get
harsh.
too psychoanalytic
Well, he was all like forgotten that he met women, now he's not going.
sensibly. I think she might have done
Facts
yeah.
speak for themselves.
Can you
moral-
imagine if Kristen have Nicola fucking hell, he'd been Mars like 12 years ago?
So the
Obviously.
The moral of the story for me was said early on in the film, but by the end I felt a deep connection when I was trying to get to the last bit of this film. We're just living on a rock, hurtling through space, and our meaningless existence can end at any moment. And that was going through my head when I was watching this. My meaningless existence could just end. Point 10, the 10-point rating. We rate the film out of 10. Nobody picked it, so I usually make Andy go first alphabetically.
Yeah, it was pretty pish. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. There's an idea in there. Like, I'll give it that. It's not a great rom-com. It's not a comedy, and it's definitely not sci-fi. So it gets a 2.
2 from Andy. The opposite of what I want to sit and watch for 90 minutes is this film. I'm giving it a generous 3 points because it actually is a well enough crafted film with some semblance of bits and pieces. So a generous 3 that I may have been talked down to 2. Chris, what about you?
Andy previously mentioned that we watched a trailer for it on YouTube and never got through it. I have never been less excited to watch a film.
It was pretty bad.
So boring.
It was the worst mistake I ever did.
Yeah, like I was hoping the Mars thing would be real and just give me a bit of like left.
The last 10 minutes are going to be him in a spaceship. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, he's going to be sitting there going, "Oh shit, I regret this. Let's turn it back." No, it was guff. I've got a quote from Nicola. It wasn't even a good romance film. It was shit.
Yeah.
So it gets a 2.
2. We've all been quite kind, despite the fact we've panned this film, and you've given
It's
it 2.
better than The Room.
Which means that
Imaginarium.
it's not better than The Room. So I'm sorry.
It is.
I'd
rather watch this 100 times
The Room
over.
a 2, didn't you?
I gave it a 2.
Well, there you go. Yeah, it's better than The Room.
Yeah, but okay. It's better than The Room, but The Room I like.
He's not enjoyed it. He's got there's an enjoyable point.
Enjoyment factor. I need to enjoy it. 2 overall. Official rating's a 2. That makes me feel better for my generous 3 that I got a 2. Overrated 2, maybe. There we go. That was the 4th wheel film. Beast, 80 for Brady, Boston Strangler, Space Odyssey. I mean, Beast the runaway exciting winner.
I know what the theme is.
What's the theme?
Shit movie's coming to streaming in 2023.
It was all right, wasn't it? I feel like Beast wasn't bad.
Still shit.
Brady had his moments, but it wasn't good. But yeah, they're getting worse. Not very exciting selections, but anyway, yeah, it still could be Trips of a Lifetime, but Boston Strangler, you're kind of struggling. Yeah, Trips of a Lifetime would have been good if they'd all been that. Anyway, next time, hopefully, Andy and his underdogs theme, his final underdogs of the season, gets to get us back in a wee bit more excitement.
Right, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can.
Good. This is where I've got to do some build up in this bad boy. This is the culmination of the ultimate underdog story.
Yes.
The journey's been
one in my head. There can only be one. But carry on.
There can only be one, but we already did that film.
Yeah, that was Highlander.
Yeah, exactly. However, there's one underdogs film. It's the film that it's just too good. It's too good not to do.
Right.
Is my issue. So I'm just going to say it. It's 2001. The Fast and the Furious.
All right.
Okay, that's nowhere near what I was thinking.
Underdog? I mean, I can't remember it, but fair enough.
It's a proper underdog story. It's a runaway cop that tries to become a street racer.
On brand for the
You've
week.
changed this on the fly because you've just.
I really did. there was one that I was going to do, which I was 100% which Chris was going to think, which I think was going to be Dodgeball.
Yep.
I was thinking that as well.
I was 100% going to be Dodgeball, but then I watched Fast and the Furious, and I'm like, what a franchise! I'm going to start at the beginning.
I would have much rather done Dodgeball, but it means it opens up. I could do a comedy next.
I thought you were going to change it to Mighty Ducks at the last second.
No.
Ah, okay.
No, underdog. We're going Fast and the Furious. What a film!
I've seen it before. I don't actually remember my opinion on it. So this fresh viewing might.
Strap in, boys. For ride.
We'll take it 1/4 mile at a time.
Exactly. There we go.
That could be the moral story. There you are. Fast and the Furious, the Fast and the Furious, which I think it's called, isn't it? Because they got
because some of them are called Fast and the Furious, but this one's got the in front of it.
The. I suppose.
Dramatic Bruce.
So yes, am I still here? I feel like everything went a bit wacky there. Fast and Furious, find it. I'll be streaming somewhere, and we'll see you next time on the 10 Point Podcast.